It's Thursday, October 17. In the headlines in local news, Met Service issues flash flood watch and warning for several parishes. In business news, Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association to host Expo Jamaica 2025. Regionally, Guyana says they are focused on long-term sustainable growth. And in sports, Arnett Gardens Mount Pleasant play to 1-1 draw in Premier League clash. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Brittany Clark. The Meteorological Service has issued a flash flood warning for low-lying and flood-prone areas across several parishes. These include St. Thomas, Kingston and St. Andrew, St. Catherine, Clarendon, and Manchester. Additionally, flash flood watches have been issued for the parishes of St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Portland, and St. Mary. These alerts remain in effect until 8 a.m. on Friday, October 18, 2024. The forecast calls for showers, thunderstorms, and strong gusty winds across southern and northeastern parishes through Friday morning, with the showers and thunderstorms expected for the rest of the island by Thursday afternoon. Marine interests, especially along the south coast, are advised to exercise caution as sea conditions worsen. A flash flood warning means flooding is either already happening or expected soon. Motorists, pedestrians, and residents in low-lying areas are urged to avoid crossing flooded roads and prepare to move to higher ground. A flash flood watch signals that flash flooding is possible. Residents should take precautions, stay updated, and be ready to act swiftly if flooding is observed or if a warning is issued. The Meteorological Service says it will continue to monitor this weather system closely. Some 243,000 Jamaicans have been approved for the government's reverse income tax credit, which provides a one-off payment of $20,000 to individuals earning under $3 million annually. Danita Rodney has the details.
Addressing the House of Representatives on a motion for the approval of the first supplementary estimates for the fiscal year 2024-2025 on Tuesday, Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Dr. Nigel Clark, said the figure represents individuals who have been approved as at Tuesday.
Mr. Speaker, this has happened electronically, digitally, without one paper, without anybody going into an office. It would have been impossible to have 243,000 people signed up for any program going through an office. Impossible.
Visionary government.
It shows the vision of the government, Mr. Speaker, and it shows the transformational potential of the digital revolution.
Dr. Clark emphasized that the initiative signals the government's commitment to supporting the working people of Jamaica.
We introduced the reverse income tax credit as a way of sending, Mr. Speaker, the signal that the vast majority of working people in this country, we care about you, we understand your sacrifices, we understand what you go through. And here's a government innovating and doing something that has never been done before to provide income at a time such as this.
He stated that under the leadership of Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness, the government will continue to implement initiatives aimed at improving the lives of the Jamaican people.
This is a government. We have problems and there are challenges, no doubt. There are many of them. But the government of Andrew Holness is responsive to the challenges, listening to the people, taking the country into the future, Mr. Speaker, and responding to their needs, innovating as necessary, and doing things that have not been done before.
For more details, individuals are encouraged to call 888-TAX-BACK or visit www.jamaicatax.gov.jm. Reporting for the news on PBCJ, I am Danita Rodney.
Finance and the Public Service Minister, Dr. Nigel Clark, has announced that the FinSAC Commission archives will be launched in the coming days. He made the statement while closing the debate on the first supplementary estimates for fiscal year 2024-25 in the House of Representatives on Tuesday.
Mr. Speaker, later this week we plan to launch the FinSAC Commission archives, which will make available to the public the documents submitted to the FinSAC Commission. This, Mr. Speaker, symbolically comes at a time when Jamaica has reached a stage where our debt is lower than it was prior to the FinSAC era.
Dr. Clark clarified that the archives will not contain any personal information except for the details of those who testified publicly before the Commission, which have already been covered in the media.
Release, Mr. Speaker, is to help us to close this chapter, learn the lessons from it, and ensure that those lessons we keep for a long time and we never ever traverse this course again. Never. Because FinSAC levied on this country debt that represented 40% of GDP, that took more than a generation, 30 years.
The greatest
Yeah?
transfer of wealth.
30 years to resolve.
He also noted that provisions have been included in these supplementary estimates to allow researchers to access and study the materials.
Now, in releasing this data to the public, Mr. Speaker, it's important that we also make some provision for some research to be done that can help us learn from the period. And so the supplementary budget also includes amounts of $10 million each to provide to the University of Technology and the University of the West Indies. We need some balance, we need at least more than one, to interact with the data, to have a transparent process of inviting people to compete for research funds and to do some research on the FinSAC archive.
The FinSAC Commission, established on January 12, 2009, was created to investigate the factors that led to the collapse of several financial institutions in the 1990s. During the 2024-25 budget debate in March, Dr. Clark announced that the government would publish the FinSAC Commission archives on a dedicated website, featuring all evidence and submissions presented to the Commission. In today's fast-paced world, caring for your mental health is more important than ever. In this JIS feature, we'll explore practical tips and expert advice on managing stress, improving well-being, and recognizing when to seek help.
It's very important that we all take care of our mental health. Good mental health, mental wellness impacts on and will affect how we live within our family, interact with family members. When we enjoy good mental wellness, it impacts on how we function in school, function at the workplace, relate to members in our community, members at church, and the wider society. So it's very important for us to enjoy mental wellness. There are some important things that we need to do. First of all, take care of ourselves. Self-care is important. It's also important for us to establish high value, healthy social connections. Yes? What we find is that people who live longer, live healthier on a daily basis are people who invest in good social relationships, with your family, with your friends, people at school, people at the workplace, people in your community of faith. So it's so important for us to find time to invest and to interact with people. It's also important for us to recognize that you know, mental illness can affect anyone in the community, anyone in our family, and that when we're not doing well, it's so important for us to seek help very early. I know we live in a society where there's a lot of negative attitudes, high level of stigma towards mental health and mental illness. But it's so important for us to, when we're having problems, when we're having difficulty, be it not sleeping well or struggling at the workplace, difficulty studying at school, or problems relating with others around us, indicate that we're having some mental health challenges, yes? And when these things are happening to us, it's important for us to seek professional help early. And in seeking professional help, it's so important that we choose people who are adequately trained, because there are lots of people who are out there practicing who are not adequately trained, and they can give us wrong advice, treat us in inappropriate ways. We're also living in a world, you know, post-pandemic, after the pandemic, where we've seen a surge in mental health problems, especially among young people. Depression, suicidal ideation, problems adjusting to school and so on. And we're seeing it, you know, based on the number of persons who are, young people who are coming forward for help. And what I want to advise parents, family members, teachers and so on, to recognize that our young people are having mental health challenges, and when they present, let us listen to them, respond to them in a non-judgmental manner, and most importantly, encourage them to seek help very early. It's very important, you know, because too many young people have found that they have not been able to achieve their goals in studying or career goals because of mental illness and not having gotten treatment early in their illness. So I encourage us, you know, encourage our young people, support them to seek help when it's necessary.
Time now for the business report with Denise Williams.
Good day, everyone, and thank you for joining us on the Business Report. I'm Denise Williams, your guide through the latest happenings in the world of business. Mayberry Group Limited has advised that Mr. Patrick Batale has been appointed Director and Chief Executive Officer of Mayberry Investments Limited with immediate effect. Mr. Gary Peart, former CEO of Mayberry Investments Limited, has been appointed CEO of Mayberry Group Limited with immediate effect. Mr. Peart has been appointed Chairman of the Board of Mayberry Investments Limited with effect from November 1, 2024. Mr. Christopher Berry and Mr. Conrad Mark Berry will continue in their respective roles of Chairman and Vice Chairman of Mayberry Group Limited and the other group companies. The Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association, JMEA, will host Expo Jamaica 2025 at the National Arena and Indoor Sports Center from April 3 to 6. JMEA anticipates that the trade show will surpass the previous staging's record-breaking 250 exhibitors, 830 buyers from 30 countries and over 15,000 consumers. Jamaica Promotions Corporation, JAMPRO, a partner of Expo Jamaica, seeks to reinforce Expo Jamaica's mission to serve as Jamaica's central hub for business and investment. President of JAMPRO, Schlitt Cox, emphasized the event's significance, stating, "Expo Jamaica is more than a trade show. It is a vital platform to showcase Jamaica's potential as a leading business hub in the Caribbean." So far, 50% of booth spaces have already been sold in just 3 weeks since registration opened. As such, JMEA encourages businesses to secure their spots quickly. Fewer Jamaican households are receiving remittances This is according to the findings of the third quarter Business and Consumer Confidence Survey conducted by Market Research Services. Executive Chairman Don Anderson says 27% of households are receiving remittances compared with a high of 36% 13 years ago. Mr. Anderson says the dip in remittances has implications for people trying to make ends meet. The survey data is consistent with information released by the Bank of Jamaica, which shows that remittances accounted for only 17.4% of gross domestic product last year, compared with 24% in 2021. During trading for the period of October 16, 2024, the following companies represent the top 3 most active stocks that investors bought and sold on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Fiberglass manufacturer and distributor Jamaica Fiberglass Producers Limited, with 3,174,437 units, representing 27.82% of the market volume in terms of sales. Advertising agency One Great Studio Company Limited, with 1,300,722 units, represents 11.4% of the market volume in terms of sales. Online education platform Edufocal Limited, with 956,757 units, represent 8.38% of the market volume in terms of sales. Moving from the money moves of investors, executives, and companies on the stock market, we turn to the Forex market. On October 16, 2024, the Bank of Jamaica reported that US $69.59 million was bought from Forex traders, while US $76.21 million was sold to Forex traders. Buying directly from the Bank of Jamaica, foreign currency traders sold US dollar for $159.19 and bought US dollars for $157.97. The difference between the buy and sell rate was $1.22, which represents a profit for Forex traders for every US dollar traded. Canadian Forex traders earned a trading profit of $4.32 from transactions at the Bank of Jamaica. The Canadian dollar was sold at $117.70 and bought for $113.38. For traders looking at the British pound, they pocketed a profit of $1.46, selling it for $207.86 and buying it for $206.40. For our credit report tip of the day, debt can feel overwhelming, especially for creatives, entrepreneurs, and the self-employed. The stress of fluctuating income, rising inflation, and the ever-increasing cost of living can make it seem impossible to make progress. To add to the challenge, interest rates and payments are higher than ever, while sales in many industries are down. If you are stuck in this place, here are practical steps you can take to boost your credit worthiness. First, cut non-essential expenses. Evaluate where you can trim unnecessary expenses, at least temporarily. Redirect those funds towards your debt payments. Second, automate your payments. Set up automatic payments to avoid missed due dates, which can lead to late fees and a damaged credit score. And with that, we wrap up today's business report. I'm Denise Williams. Appreciate your company. Stay well informed, stay ahead of the curve. Until our next update, take care.
In regional news, at the inaugural International Business Conference held at the Guyana Marriott Hotel in Georgetown Tuesday evening, President Dr. Irfan Ali outlined a clear vision for the country's future, to build long-term sustainable growth and to establish itself as a regional powerhouse.
Speaking to a room of investors and business leaders, President Dr. Irfan Ali emphasized that while Guyana is strategically positioned as a competitive partner, its primary objective is to foster enduring growth across the region. He pointed to the necessity of regional cooperation, noting that no country can succeed alone in today's interconnected global economy.
We are not, by any way, trying to be a powerhouse or to build a powerhouse. We really have a simple objective, and that is to build long-term and sustainable growth through physical and human investment, and to strategically position Guyana as a competitive partner. I want you to listen, as a competitive partner in this region.
He would soon after allow a dozen spontaneous questions from those investors and policymakers in the room, the answers to which formed the basis of his presentation. The president was pointed to note the ongoing collaboration between Guyana and neighboring Suriname, even as Guyana makes strides in establishing a training hub for deep water offshore industries.
So what we are building in Guyana is tomorrow's economy today. And we're not doing that by words. We're doing that by strong strategic policy intervention. We know that there's enormous gap as to where we are now and where we ought to be. But we have canceled out where we ought to be. And we are focusing on where the world will be in 2030. And we are applying the rationale that will build for where the world will be in 2030 as against where we ought to be, and then working backwards and bringing the population up to speed.
President Ali also spoke about the critical need to integrate regional energy infrastructure, transport, and logistics. He underscored that Guyana's growing energy capacity, particularly in renewable energy, offers a unique opportunity to create a sustainable energy network across the region. The president emphasized that integrating these infrastructures would not only provide energy security, but also lower costs for industries and the consumers alike.
In Trinidad and Tobago, in a global effort to raise awareness for women and families impacted by pregnancy and infant loss, the Wave of Light held a candle lighting ceremony at Palmiste Park in San Fernando on Tuesday evening. Stacia Yearwood has more on this touching event.
Coinciding with Baby Loss Awareness Week, which runs from October 9 to 15, the Wave of Light event brings families together to light candles in remembrance. Member of Rotaract Penal and the Baby Loss Solace Seekers Peer Support Group, Amrita Prasad, spoke to the importance of sharing our stories.
Is to bring awareness to families who would have suffered pregnancy and infant loss, to let them know that they're not alone. They don't have to go through this alone. There's support, and there's support if we, share about our babies.
One attendee shared how deeply belonging to a peer support group has aided her grieving process.
The circumstances under which it happened left us very devastated, but we are happy that we are able to be a part of this because we now find ourselves in a community of other persons that could help us, go through this grief, and that there is a place that, we can turn to, Baby Solace Seekers. It's a group, and because of this, we are able to grieve as a community.
And supporters like General Practitioner Dr. Kavita Panchu hope for more established support mechanisms.
The thing is that in Trinidad and Tobago, it's not well known to have these support groups, because I have known women who don't know where to turn to. Because I've worked in the public health system, in the regional health authority, and when this would happen to us on the obstetric ward, they tend to be referred, but then they're lost to follow up, and they're not sure who to turn to. So it doesn't exist in Trinidad yet in terms of having larger organizations that recognize this type of pregnancy and infant loss awareness. So this is a start to something that I hope will get a little bit more traction.
In attendance was Families in Action clinical psychologist Gerard Batiste, who advised those impacted by loss to be intentional about their self-care and connect with support groups and suitable professionals for guidance. Stacia Yearwood, TTT News.
The Grenadian government is considering a significant change to the country's healthcare system, with plans underway that could potentially see the General Hospital transformed into a statutory body. More details in this report.
Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell has revealed that government is exploring the option of transforming the General Hospital into a statutory body. This announcement follows the signing of an 18-month strategic partnership with New York-based Mount Sinai Hospital aimed at improving healthcare services in Grenada. During the initial 3 months, Mount Sinai will conduct a thorough assessment of the hospital operations, identifying areas for improvement. The remaining 15 months will see Mount Sinai experts working closely with local staff to enhance management practices and service delivery.
The government is considering whether it would be prudent to statutarize the hospital, not the health sector. Because obviously the health sector is far wider and more diverse than that. This is something that, in fact, in my case, was actually suggested by young doctors and other healthcare practitioners when we consulted and met with them, when I met with them sometime last year. And they've given a number of reasons for that recommendation. They've also cited other countries in the region in which it has done and it has helped to improve the level and delivery of services. And a part of it has to do with the fact that the public service is a one-shoes-fit-all type approach, which in many instances does not work for some of the very specific sectors that we have.
At a press conference on Wednesday, Prime Minister Mitchell emphasized that stakeholder consultations will be necessary before any final decision is made regarding the hospital's status.
But that is something that there would be obviously extensive consultations and discussions on. But ultimately, it is being considered, and we were happy to, in fact, have the suggestion come, certainly in my case, from those who are working in the hospital and who understand the challenges that they face and who obviously also perhaps have the experience of knowing what happens elsewhere in other islands, which would have had similar health care challenges.
When questioned about the potential impact on healthcare affordability for vulnerable population if the hospital becomes a statutory body, the Prime Minister had this to say.
NOASA is a statutory body. Vulnerable people are able to afford water. Guyanas Solid Waste Management Authority is a statutory body. It collects garbage. Everybody pays via the environmental levy for the collection of garbage and so on. So one of the issues that we face with is that sometimes we spend a lot of money, but the impact and the outcome is low, and we have to find why. And oftentimes it is in the management and the delivery systems that we have that are not efficient. So it is not just about affordability. That's one. It's also about the quality of care. When you don't pay for things, freeness has a certain connotation to it, and that's part of the challenge we're facing here. Our healthcare sector is funded purely by taxpayers.
Brina Thomas, GBN News.
In sports, today it's all about football. It was an exciting clash in the Ray and Nephew Jamaica Premier League on Wednesday as Arnett Gardens and Mount Pleasant battled to a 1-1 draw at the Anthony Spalding Sports Complex. Kimani Arboin gave Arnett Gardens an early lead in the 12th minute, capitalizing on a defensive error. However, Kimoni Bailey leveled the score for Mount Pleasant in the 42nd minute, seizing on a spilled free kick. Both teams showed flashes of attacking brilliance, but despite their late chances, neither could find a winner. Arnett Gardens now sits in 8th place with 5 points, while Mount Pleasant holds 5th place with 7 points. Mount Pleasant's assistant coach Davian Ferguson praised his team's efforts, particularly their resilience in difficult conditions, while Arnett's coach Xavier Gilbert expressed satisfaction with earning a point, noting the challenging field conditions. Despite the stalemate, both teams continue to impress with their tactical discipline and attacking intent. Youth football fans can look forward to an exciting day of action this Saturday, October 19, 2024, as Jamaica's top young players compete in the All-Ireland Under-11 Championship Finals at Conton Spring Football Field. The event kicks off at 10 a.m. with the finals set for 3:30 p.m. 12 primary and preparatory schools, including Mineral Heights Primary, Lannemans Prep, and Port Antonio Primary, will compete for the championship. The tournament, part of this year's Youth Football League, in partnership with the Jamaica Independent Schools Association, JISA, follows intense regional qualifiers in Kingston, Montego Bay, and Manchester. The opening ceremony begins at 9:15 a.m., celebrating the young athletes' achievements before a full day of thrilling football. That's the news on PBCJ. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. Thanks for watching.